Hello everybody, welcome again to another tutorial from snorkel.tv, and today what we're going to be doing is showing you how you can use a mask to split one image into two. If you look on my stage here, I have this one image here. It's a bitmap, and this is a picture of a phone with the keyboard port extended out. And what we're going to do is take this one very static image and watch this. We're going to make it into two images where we can have the keyboard be a separate image that's going to be animating behind the static phone. So basically what we need to do is separate the keyboard from the phone so that it can be animated independently. Alright, and to do this we're going to be using a combination of masking. We're going to create a mask with the pen tool and then just do a little bit of animation. If you notice here too, there's a very nice little subtle drop shadow that shows up when the phone opens up. So we'll try to get that in as well. Alright, let's close this out. And we're going to go over to my start file. And all we really have is a background gradient here. And all we have in the library is this one little image of this bitmap, this phone with the keyboard. And I need to pretty much remove the keyboard from the phone so that I can have just a phone showing. And I'm going to use masking to accomplish this. So I'm going to take this bitmap and I'm going to say, let's convert you to a symbol, or better yet, insert you into a symbol. And I'm going to call this phone and hit OK. And now I have a movie clip on the stage called phone. I'm going to double click on it to go into that symbol. And let's just zoom in a little bit. I want to take this bitmap and I'm just going to make sure the registration point is at the top left hand corner of the actual phone without the keyboard. Alright, just sort of neaten that up right there. Cool. And now I'm going to use the pen tool to draw a mask so that we can only reveal the phone and hide the keyboard. So I'm going to create a new layer for this mask. I'll just call it mask shape layer. This one here I'll call image. And let me just lock the image layer. I don't want to see it anymore. Okay. Alright, now we're going to go to our pen tool after I zoom in a little bit, and we really want to make sure we get this curve here nailed as closely as we can. So I'm going to switch over to the pen tool. I can hit P to do that, and I want to make sure I'm drawing in the mask shape layer. And let me just hit F4. What that's going to do is minimize a lot of my panels so I can just focus on my drawing here. Alright. Now that I have my pen tool selected, I just want to focus on getting this one corner as good as possible. Because once I've drawn one corner, I can use the same shape or stroke for all the others. You know, this is a very well crafted device that's going to have a lot of symmetry. So we're just going to click once to start my point, and we're going to click somewhere up here, and I'm just going to drag straight line up. Alright, we get our straight line here, and we're then going to click right up in this area right here. And I'm just going to pull these tangent handles until I can match that curve as best as I can. Alright, let's just bring it down there. And that's a pretty mean corner that I have here. Let me just shift click out here to make a straight continuation of that line. Now that I've drawn this line, I can probably pull it in just a little bit. So we're going to use my subselection tool, hit A to do that. And this point right here, I'm just going to notch it over a bit. I want to make sure it's perfectly vertical, and I'm pretty happy with that. Maybe if I mess with this tangent handle a little bit, we can just pull it in a little bit more. Now, it's not going to get much better than that. So I want to reuse this corner that I drew for all four corners. Yes, there's a little bit of smudginess outside of the line, but it's going to look actually a lot better if I just cut that stuff out. So I'm very happy with where my line is right now. Using the selection tool, I'm going to click on that shape that I just drew, that stroke, and Command C will copy, Command Shift V will make another copy in place. I'm just going to use my arrow keys to move this one over, and I'm going to do a modify, transform, flip horizontal, and that's going to get me right there. And just look at how nice that arc follows down there. Alright, I'm going to double click on now this top cap piece and do the same thing for the bottom. We're going to copy it. Command Shift V will make me a copy. And if I just Shift drag down, I can bring it perfectly down and then do a modify, transform, flip vertical. And now I have my bottom in place. And we'll just zoom in on this and look at how that bottom is virtually the same as the top. Put that right there. And now I just need to connect the two pieces. So I'll zoom out a little bit. I'm going to roll over this end point here, and I'm just going to drag straight up. And we want to make sure we have a perfectly straight line. I don't like doing this stuff from a distance. Yeah, that's razor sharp. That's beautiful. All right, this guy here, let me just drag up while I can see him, make it perfectly straight. All right. Now we just gotta glue these two together. There we go. All right, so we now have the outline of my mask. Let's go back to the timeline here, and I want to fill this in with a semi-transparent color. I have a semi-transparent green set here. I'm going to use the paint bucket tool and just click in there, and now my shape is filled in. Let me enable masking for this layer, and now I only see the phone. And if you look at these corners, they're absolutely beautiful. They're really nice. There's no sort of half pixels, smudginess, or anything. They're razor sharp. I'm really happy with this. So now that this phone movie clip is made, let's go create our keyboard clip. All right, so I'm going to go to scene 1, and now we have, there's just our phone. All right, so we have the phone. Now let's make sure it's on its own layer. So I'm just going to cut it, Command X, new layer, call this phone, and we'll paste it right where it was. All right, cool. Let's put it right up around here. And now, very quickly, we're going to draw just the keyboard. So I'm going to go to Insert, New Symbol, and I'm going to call this Keyboard. And we're not going to have to do any drawing here at all. We're just going to take out the image one more time. And we're going to make the registration point now be right at the top left-hand corner of where the keyboard is. Just eye it out a little bit. That's fine. And now this layer here is going to be keyboard. I'm going to add one new layer, and we're going to call this my mask shape. And I'm going to reuse the mask shape that I used on the phone. So let me go into phone. I'm going to unlock this layer. Let's just select all this stuff. I'm going to copy it, and let's jump back to keyboard. And in this mask shape layer, we're just going to paste. And now we're just going to try to line it up with that keyboard as best as we can. Now, I don't want to see all this dotted pattern here. I used a semi-transparent color for a reason, so I could see through it when I'm lining everything up. So I'm going to go to View, Hide Edges, Command Shift E. Look at that. Semi-transparent shape to the rescue. And let's just try to put that right about there. Perfect. And now we're going to turn on our masking. And now we have just the keyboard. Now, yes, we are seeing a little bit of this phone over here, but what's happening is that that part of the phone is always going to be underneath the real phone, so I don't really care. I'm going to go back to scene number 1 now, and underneath the phone layer, let me just add my keyboard. We'll take the keyboard out of the library, and we're just going to position it behind the phone. Alright, just want it to be hidden, and we'll start with it totally hidden behind the phone. And in frame 15, we're going to do an animation of it popping out, 15 to 30. In frame 30, we're just going to slide it until we start seeing we want to have it all the way out. Right click, create classic tween, frame 40. We'll put in another set of keyframes. Frame number 55, I'm just going to select that keyboard, and we're going to suck it back in. Alright, right click, create classic tween, and now we have our fun little animation.